Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at. Welcome to you. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension for July 18th, 2021. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that your summer is proceeding well. Let me go ahead and greet you. I am so pleased that you've decided to spend your Sunday with us. It is amazing that you are here, particularly in troubled times. I am honored that you've chosen to spend some time with us. And particularly during this unusual time that has been dictated by the movements of a virus, I actually am going to ask you to tell us where you are in the world. Where are you? So tell us two things. It's really two things. Where are you in the world? How far is our image, our voice reaching? And we'd also like to know how long you have partaken in Kemetic Ascension. And as you do that, you are going to notice, family, that there are people who are in the room who are full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. If you are one of those individuals, designate yourself. Let the rest of our family understand that you are the closely held family, that you are full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. Sometimes that can be helpful because it is very often that folks that are reaching you, that are reaching us in that room, have questions, have things that they want to know about their lives. And when you see that you have the full initiated members, you can actually ask them questions. You'll also see that there are members, that there are leaders that are in that room. These are the individuals that we call the Wenwet. The Wenwet are the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at. We have 9 magnificent people, 9 infertile people who are our priests. And so you'll see them in the room as well. So give us a shout out. Tell us where you are in the world and how long you have been partaking in Kemetic Ascension.
So we have Tracy from Indianapolis who has been waiting for us since 11 a.m.
Wow, 11?
Yeah, she says there's a message saying sending myrrh and waiting.
Wow. Wow.
Also known
And
as Virgo
she's been around quite a bit, Virgo Ven, and we see her every week, every Kemetic Ascension.
Yes.
Welcome.
And
We are
Twaul
honored that you
Nation.
come back. And Twaul.
Yes. And then we have Benita Sutton, who just got married. She's
Wow. Congratulations. May all prosperity, may all happiness be visited upon you and your mate. We hope that you are going to be happy and strong and have great seneb, great health in your union. Congratulations. This is July. July is usually wedding month. So yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that you are having your wonderful nuptials this time. Incredible.
And we have 3 members of the Shrine already in-house, Sanette Tashi, Sanette Cheryl, and Sanette Anna, who's melting on the East End.
Oh my goodness.
Sanette Cheryl's out in DMV, Sanette Tashi is out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Tashi is in Charlotte? Why don't I always remember that Tashi is in Charlotte? And you have told me that at least twice, Anika, that she's in Charlotte. Welcome, folks. Welcome, family members. Those are folks that we will always see. Sanette Tashi, who is also a strong member of the Lighthouse, who is a strong member of the Shrine of Ma'at, fully initiated. We are honored to have you. Of course, we have Sanette Cheryl from the DMV area, who is always in the house. And to even go further, we always see her. She comes back and forth. And then Sanette Anna, who has been with us from the beginning. Anika is giving me the move on signal because there are a lot of people that just logged in. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Who else is there?
We have Megan from San Antonio, Texas.
Welcome. First time. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that name before. Welcome. We're honored that you've joined us.
We have Asar from Philadelphia.
Asar. That's a powerful name.
Shannon from Indianapolis.
Wow. Welcome.
Friend out in Minneapolis, Tracy. Y'all need to connect with each other.
Yes.
Riley from Lancaster, Florida.
Welcome.
We have Nay Aunt from Virginia. another member, Demetra, Senet Demetra from Douglasville, GA.
Yes, welcome, Senet Demetra. I hope all is well.
Let's see, Tracy saying when her daughter gets married, she wants us to officiate.
Which Tracy? Tracy from
Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to let us know. We would definitely do that, of course.
We have Kimberly out in Tennessee. We have Michelle Cameron Isaacs in the house. Mars Goodman on the Lower East Side.
Lower East Side?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've heard Mars Goodman before. Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
John Tay is back from Point Chiana, Florida.
Welcome.
Nikki Taylor, another member.
Welcome. Nikki Taylor is always around. I think she's here in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Brother Pimpanzi, another member.
Brother Pimpanzi out in Philly. Go ahead, Brother Pimpanzi. Welcome to members of Kepru Rama'at, our most recently initiated group. Welcome. It was wonderful to hear that you're all together there.
Yes, and then we have Michael out in Toronto, Canada. We have another member, Senet Olivia, out in Virginia.
Welcome, Senet Olivia.
We have Wally Young from Newark, New Jersey.
Not far.
Ajamo Tahimba out in Inglewood, California.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yes. Larry Jackson out in Daytona Beach, Florida.
That's not Ajamu from Cornell. Is that what you're thinking? No. Ajamu Tahimba usually comes on.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not talking about this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. No,
okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Kelly Sarah, she's asking when is the next initiation. Initiation won't be again until next March.
Remember the mic's all the way over here this year.
Okay, 2022. So applications will be available late November, early December.
It's going to be December. If we make applications available in November and we don't start till February, March, that's going to be a long time. But you should know we're not going to change the application. If you really wanted to, you could go to the website and submit an application now.
No, they're not.
Anika saying, please don't make me feel crazy. Let's not submit them yet. Just know that we're looking forward to inviting a whole nother group of folks into the shrine. Hopefully you will all be joining us soon. Know that towards the end of this year, you'll see the applications available. Definitely.
We have Sandra Arrington, yes.
Welcome. Yes, I recognize that name. Welcome.
Senet Adnike out in the Gambia.
Wow, what is it like in the Gambia right now? Wonderful.
Brittany
welcome from Rock Session. Say again?
Brittany out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is that Brittany that is a fully initiated member? Another?
Brittany Martin.
Okay, welcome.
And Kelly, also known as Sekou, is out in Canada.
We have some Canada folks in the house today.
Larry Chandler from North Philly. Abu Zephaniah, or Abu Tehuti.
Abu,
sorry, excuse me, sorry, Abu, excuse me. My apologies.
By the way, Abu Tehuti, I'm probably going to talk to him about this when I see him in priesthood training. I'm going to tell you, I loved your analysis. I just saw a clip, but the analysis that you did with another one of our members on Black Excellence TV, I just have to say I want to chat with you about it. I liked your direction that you were critiquing the brother. So we'll talk.
We have Ma'ati Aset.
Ma'ati Aset.
We have.
That's not someone we are. Ma'ati Aset, where are you from? That sounds almost like a Shrine of Ptah name. That's why I'm asking. It sounds like a Shrine of Ptah name.
We have Abu Seshat holding down Kemetic.
Abu Seshat. Some folks call her the general.
Out in Houston, who's going to be traveling with us to Kemet.
What was the name?
Tresh.
Yes. Welcome. We're going to see you in a little bit as we go to Kemet this year. We will be in Kemet from August 1st to August 12th. We're excited. We can't wait to get back. We did not get to go to Kemet last year, so we cannot wait to be back in the sacred land of our ancient African ancestors. Is that many people? I think you're doing this. Come on, man. I got more names.
We have Alkema from Senja Huti Mes OG the 4th. who's been with us for 5.5 years since day one.
What? 5.5 years?
That's what he said.
He's talking about in Kemetic Ascension for 5.5 years.
Yes.
Okay. Because listen, Sen Jehutimes has been with us for over 20 years. By the way, can we say we have to wish you a mirthful and infernal solar return weekend, because I know yesterday was your solar return day.
Yes.
Your birthday, for folks who have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yes. And then we have David Witter from Cardiff, Wales.
Wonderful. Wales. Have we heard Wales?
Well, I've heard the name Witter before, so I think he's been with us before.
Wonderful.
We have Deborah from St. Louis. Shay's Divine.
I think Sinet Adenike still takes the cake for the furthest away in the Gambia.
We have Bexura Herut Samshu from Harlem, live in North Carolina, or from Harlem, live in North Carolina. Shay's is from Milwaukee.
That's a powerful name. Okay. I want to hear more about that name.
Sinet Denotria, one of our members.
Yes, welcome.
We have, and Maati is from San Jose, California.
What, Maati? The Maati that I asked about the name? Okay. I can't ask questions about everyone, right? Because that's what she's asking. That's what she's asking me.
We have Blue Magic Customs from St. Martin, Dutch Caribbean.
Wonderful. Welcome, St. Martin. We got St. Martin in the house.
We have Damo from Chicago.
Wonderful. And most folks are on, do you think more people are on Facebook or on YouTube right now?
There's a lot on both.
Okay. The interesting thing is that we tend to have more people live on Facebook, but later we tend to have more people who have seen the broadcast, the session afterward on YouTube. So that's interesting.
Jason Holmes from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Welcome, Sen Jason, who has been with us quite a bit for a while, for a few years now.
We have Herurasar Ankh Amun-Ra out in Dallas.
Wonderful, Dallas. Yeah, we've been having Texas come forward powerfully for a little bit now. That's the first Texas person you've mentioned, though. Welcome.
Omari Washington is in the house from San Antonio, Texas.
There we go.
Tracy Ann is here with us. Michelle from Richmond, VA.
Welcome.
Safanta out in College Park, Maryland.
Welcome. One of our full members. Welcome.
So my Ate says she's from Philadelphia, living in Los Angeles, currently in Atlanta visiting family. Member of the Karas African Unity Center
in LA.
Yes.
Oh.
As a past member of other temples.
I want to know more about. That's why she probably has a name that sounds like a Shrine of Ba'at name. Does that mean that that Priestess Shesmut helped you with that name? That would explain the name. See, I thought it sounded like a Shrine of Patan name. The priestess, the associate pastor there, I think that's her right title, actually was a priestess in the Shrine of Patan, is now out there. So maybe that's why. Wonderful.
Ikerti Tina Majet in the house. Sen Clifton, one of our members.
Welcome, Sen. Welcome.
Gia New Spring from Lake Worth, Florida. Let's see, Kanisha from Lynchburg, VA. Anthony Edwards, Golden, Alabama.
One of our members.
Oh, and Bexura Herut Samsu says her name means I followed joy and a balanced life force. Alan Mayu, one of our other members.
Yes, welcome.
We have Clarence Kimball from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Welcome.
Sinet Deborah Kennedy in the house.
Welcome. Yeah. Members in the house.
This one named Mitch S. who's in Baltimore by way of Ethiopia. We have Tanae Wonders, Harrison Alana. Oh my goodness.
Lots of folks.
Yeah.
Lots of folks.
Kiam Yobachi from South Side of Chicago.
Go ahead, Chi-Town. out there not far from Yasira Hotep, the Kemetic yoga master, our good brother.
Kia from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Welcome.
We have Deshawn from Humble, Texas.
Welcome.
Did I mention Cleo Ford? Yes.
I believe you did.
In the house.
No, you didn't.
No.
No, welcome.
No, that's right, I didn't.
Welcome, Sen Cleo, one of our full members of Rakasa Shan.
Matias, that says that Priestess Sunshine Boss.
Yes, that's why it sounds like a Shrine of Ptah name. See, I knew I was hearing. See? Shensa did that. See?
Tinadia, I'm sorry if I say that wrong, from Irvington, New Jersey. We have Brother Rich Duglin in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Ramutef Kev in the house. And our longtime friend Monique from Cincinnati, Ohio. Is in the house.
Yep. Welcome.
Robert James from London, UK.
Welcome. Robert James has been on quite a bit out of London. Wonderful. I know that Sonnetter and a few others are planning to try to take a trip out to London soon. He's asked me to go with him, but we'll have some details about that shortly.
Jehuti Kid from Cincinnati. Chulu.
Welcome to Cincinnati.
Bay Area, California.
Chulu, you said the name is?
Chulula.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yes. Kemetia. Tell us where you're from. And I think that's everyone.
That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. And it is amazing that you've all gathered here. I just want you to know that we are not able to be bound by a neighborhood, by a city, by a state, by a country. That this call that our ancient African ancestors set forth into the universe several millennia ago reverberates all throughout the world. And so when we hear that you are from all places, near and far, it warms our heart. It lightens our heart so that we know that we are able to once again bring the traditions of our ancestors back into existence. And one of the things that will occur this time, as opposed to what occurred 5,000 years ago, is that as the Kemetic tradition rises this time, it will rise simultaneously all over the world. It will not be easily evinced. It will not be easily destroyed, because we will be everywhere. That is what you are saying to us today. So I am so pleased and honored that you've joined us for Kemetic Ascension. I know that you are those individuals who hear the echo of our ancient foreparents, those individuals that gave civilization to the world. And so I'm honored that you're here with us. I'm so pleased that we are able to worship together, to pray together, to be together as we recognize the traditions of our ancestors.
And Twalu Demetra, for your donation. We really appreciate
it. Twalu for the donations.
Anyone who'd like to make donations, please do so via Cash App, $ Shrine of Ma'at, or PayPal to ma'at@shrineofma'at.org.
Your donations are always well received. They help us to run this broadcast. Calling it a broadcast is wrong. To convene this meeting, to convene this gathering. As Abu Waziri, also known as Abu Vernon, says, we don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. So we really are honored that you donate. You know that you can donate in any way that you'd like. You can donate via Cash App, via PayPal, and also with even stars from Facebook. So we are honored that you sent donations, family. We truly, truly are. Every single cent goes to good use so that we are able to put the work of the Shrine of Ma'at into balance. So at the beginning of our gatherings, there is only one way that we could start. It is in fact the way that you should start anything of importance, anything of significance, and that is with the ritual that was put into its current form by our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata. Some call him the Ankh Man. And so our elder, the founder and the keeper of the Shrine of Ptah, put this ritual into its order, into its balance. And so that is how we must begin. It is called the opening of the way. So please, We want you to stand in the position of adoration. We want you to stand. You're going to take a short stride forward, like you're stepping forward with your left foot. And then you're going to expose your palms out towards the entities in front of you. This is one of the ways that you can sense energy, sense things that are going on in your vicinity. You're going to have both of your palms extended, but you might want to have the left palm a little higher than the right palm and a little further forward than the right palm, just in many ways mirroring the way that you are standing. This is called the position of adoration. You will see this position on walls and in papyri that our ancestors emblazoned for thousands and thousands of years. And so please stand with us in this position that recognizes that we both give and receive divine energy. And as we do this, we are going to begin with a deep breath. Try to breathe from the abdomen. Don't breathe all up here. This is how you breathe when you are taking short breaths because you're under pressure, under duress. Breathe in that meditative pose all the way down at the bottom of your navel. Take a deep breath and we're going to chant the word of everlasting divine life, Ankh. Let's begin.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenu.
Anetrak Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak As.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke As.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut. Nuke Tefnut. Twal Winter. Anetrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. Anetrak and Boo in Teru. Nuke and Boo in Teru. Twal Winter. Twal Winter. Dwa, Dwa, Dwa. Dwa for joining us in the opening of the way. We hope that you are doing the opening of the way yourself. We hope that you are doing the opening of the way before you do anything of importance. And certainly, definitely, one of the things that you will do that is most important is beginning your day. The day that the Creator has given you to continue the work that the ancestors and the Netanru have decided you must engage in. It is so powerful when you do the opening of the way because it reminds you of just how powerful you are. That you are not, in fact, an insignificant being controlled, being pushed from here and there by all other entities in the universe. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes when you're under stress, when you're under duress? It feels like just things are happening to you and you have no idea what to do. One of the reasons why you might feel that way is because you have not taken a moment to reconnect yourself to your divine, everlasting greatness. That you have not reminded yourself that you are a universal, fundamentally eternal being. When you do that, how can you let your bills make you feel like you cannot do the things you need to do? How can you make your rent, your mortgage feel insurmountable? How can you make challenges with your family, challenges in your relationship, challenges at work? How can you make those actually seem like these are things that are beyond you? If you recognize that you are a divine individual, imbued with all of the powers and responsibilities of the divine, you would be able to surmount anything. That is what the opening of the way reminds us of, and so is of critical importance.
I just want to acknowledge those who just sent us some donations. So Jehuti Mess OG the fourth, much mer,
much mer, Jehuti Mess.
Joseph Rochard, thank you so much, Twahu. Also Michelle Miller, Twahu, we appreciate your donations. They're all extremely helpful, and we appreciate all that you give.
Dua. We need resources to be able to do the work that we're doing, and we're so excited that you've chosen to do that. Dua. So, at this point in our session, in this point in our gathering, we always go into Hesi. And Hesi is the moment in which we galvanize divine energy in harmony in song. And so I am honored to be able to once more do a Hesi that is an oldie but goodie. It's one of the Hesi that comes from the Shrine of Ptah, our shrine of origin, put together by Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samaj Se Ptah, that divine elder, who is approaching his 80th birthday. And I think that we'll do this one today. It's one of those Hesi that you will recognize if you've been partaking in Kemetic Ascension considerably or consistently over the last year. It is the Hesi that is kind of translated as the mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. And this is how it sounds. It's Kum Ra, Kum Ra, Kum Heru Ra, Kum Heru Heru Ra Ra, Kum Ra 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 Ra, Kum Heru Ra, Kum Heru Heru Ra Ra. And so that is the Hesi. I'm going to say to you that sometimes I actually have a piece of paper to remind myself how to do it. And it's funny because once I start, it just flows, right? Because it's something that is so familiar to us. So let's try it again, and then you'll do it with us. It's Kum Ra, Kum Ra, Kum Heru Ra, Kum Heru Heru Ra Ra, Kum Ra 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 Ra, Kum Heru Ra, Kum Heru Heru Ra Ra. And you can see that you could do this. You could just go on. It's kind of meditative, right? It's the kind of Hesi that Jabari has found himself reciting walking through Harlem, right? Just walking, I'm just saying it. It's the kind of Hesi that when you're washing dishes, you're doing it. It's the kind of Hesi you're riding a bike and you're just doing the Kum Heru Ra chant. And so hopefully you will do it. It allows you to get into a meditative stance. If you're doing it with other people, you can do it in the round so that they could start at different places. And a group of people can start a little bit later, and a group of people can start later than that, and it just goes around and around and around. You could do it where the brothers are doing it in a lower timbre than the sisters. And so that could be fun too. So please, remember these Hesi, we've given you Hesi that are Shrine of Ma'at originals and Hesi that have come out of our Shrine of Origin, the Shrine of Ptah. And what we like for you to do is recognize that you can use any of these at any time in your day. So let's do it. ra, kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra kum ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra, kum ra 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 ra, kum heru ra, kum heru heru ra ra. So I hope that you feel that you could just go on for that one forever and ever and ever. Yes, the translation again. Baba has translated that one as the mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. And so I'm really hoping that you are going to continue to use this Hesi, that it is a kind of Hesi that will embolden you to do the work that you need to do, that it will remind you of actually connecting to and becoming one with these essential divine energies. We have been called worshipers of the sun. And I know that that is kind of a crude description of the Kemetic tradition, but recognize that we are those that acknowledge the divine power of the sun, and that that power pervades our entire universe, and that you can use that power to do the work you need to do. So I hope that you are using this Hesi. You'll continue to do the Hesi, and it will work in your life as well. So people are asking questions about the Hesi. Is that what's happening? Yes, they are. Okay, okay. So does that mean that you're actually trying to learn the Hesi, family? By the way, it would do Baba so much joy for someone who was not initiated in the Shrine of Ptah to know that that Hesi has gone far and wide. It really would. It is powerful, powerful, powerful. And there was an old recording that he did with Queen Afua called The Indwelling Healer. And you'll hear them doing it in that recording as well. Of course, if you can find that recording, you must have been in the tradition for at least the last 30, 35, 40 years, because it's an old one. And I've had the opportunity to get my hands on a copy of it, and it is absolutely magnificent. We say dua to Baba Heru, dua to Queen Afua for bringing that particular recording forward. So at this point, what we should do is go into what we call the word from the Sebayit. the word from the Sebayit. And generally speaking, these are our attempts at looking at our modern world and applying the wisdom that comes to us from Kemetic text to it. And so today I'd like to talk a little bit about the wisdom of the Kemetic New Year, known as Wep Ren Pet. Sometimes you'll hear Rep When Put. In fact, in the Shrine of Ptah, often we would say Rep When Put. And so just know that this is a reference to the Kemetic New Year, to those evolutions, those movements of the heavens that remind us that we can see the cycle, the movements, the continuing drama and narrative of this universe playing out in the movements of the stars. It reminds us that we are always undergoing the powerful, powerful cycle of death and rebirth. And in fact, death is not final. Rebirth always occurs. And this is a powerful, powerful way that our Kemetic ancestors celebrated this actuality in their year. And we're going to also talk about a particular Kemetic book known as the Book of Knowing the Evolutions of Ra. The Book of Knowing the Evolutions of Ra. So let us say to you that you should know that Wep Ren Pet is going to occur at around July 30th of this year. Around July 30th of this year. This is when we will see, the alignment of these stars that describe adequately the movements of the sun. And this is one of the reasons why we find this to be a sacred time. Take a look at how we see the helical rising of Kemetic. Look at this, this depiction. This is actually in the Northeast, but you can actually see 3 stars here. I don't know if you can see them clearly, but they seem to be pointing to this, the brightest star. And if you follow the movement of those 4 stars, you will see they point directly to where the sun will rise. This is how our Kemetic ancestors recognized the beginning of the new year, a time they called Wep Ren Pet. Wep Ren Pet. In fact, I'll say to you that our sister shrine, the Temple of Anu, has their Wep Ren Pet retreat every year, and it's going to be in New Jersey at Stone Mountain Reservation. You should know that they probably do not have any space left. But if you are in the Northeast area and you want to be part of it, please reach out to our sister shrine, the Temple of Anu. Anika and I will be there. We're going to be joining our sister shrine for their wonderful annual event, at least for the Saturday of the event. It's sometimes difficult for us to come, particularly because we are in the midst of preparing for our journey to Kemet, and there's a lot that needs to be done. But this year, we're going to make sure that we get there. It's going to be held next weekend. So recognize that as we talk about Wep Ren Pet, as we talk about the movements of the sun, one of the things that happened in Kemet that was so powerful is that we can recognize that our ancestors absolutely were able to live in the region that they lived in simply because of this magnificent river that they called the Hapi. Today it is called the Nile. Today it is called the Nile. And I don't like calling it the Nile, you should know. I just don't like calling it the Nile. I don't. One of the stories as to why it was called the Nile, and there are several stories, is because it is said that when Western people came and saw how connected these ancient Africans had been connected to this river for probably tens of thousands of years, they said it is nil or nothing. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't like calling it the Nile. But Ultimately, you should understand that if your ancestors named things that were important to them, why, when we are referring to them, should we use the names of foreign people? That river was known as the Hapi. The Hapi. And one of the things that we should recognize about the Hapi that is so curious, just think about the idea that these ancient Africans, I'm talking about before Kemet, were actually following this body of water. It is fresh water. So it's water that can be used. And it is known that this great river begins in the highlands of Central Africa. When they have great rains, large amounts of water come through the mountains and flow over 4,160 miles all the way into the Mediterranean Sea. And so recognize that Africans from time immemorial were probably connected to this river. Now, I can only say that as desertification occurred in Northeast Africa, you could imagine that some people must have been struggling to find a way, a manner, a successful chance of surviving in this harsh desert. And you could imagine that a wanderer might have actually happened upon this river in the northeast of Africa and said, wow, we can live along this magnificent body of water. I'm going to say to you that if these indubitable Africans were a lesser group of people, they probably would have been beset by the horrors of the desert, the scarcity of the desert, and then they would have been pleased to find themselves by a river, and they probably would have just created some small settlements there. And a lesser group of people would have been on the banks of this river and noticed that it slowly swelled until that river would overflow its banks in a really violent way. And a lesser people would have said, this must be hell. Not only are we dealing with the desert, but now we got to deal with floods that destroy everything. A lesser group of people would have said, let us get the hell out of here. Let us leave, because this space is not fit for human occupation. But brothers and sisters, commit to you, your African ancestors were not a lesser group of people. They understood that they could live in this space that was a study in contrast, desert and river, if they were able to understand the movements of the stars in heaven. And so instead of just being beset by the scarcity of the desert and the violent overflowing of the river, they learned to live in harmony with these evolutions. And as they lived in harmony, that which would have been catastrophic, violent, and destructive to a lesser people became blessed, became something to celebrate, became something to look forward to, became something that they could recognize was divine. A more in tune, galactically balanced people lives in this way. That is in your lineage, family. That is in your lineage. And so these wonderful Africans looked into the heavens. In fact, did you know that the stars are sons of other planetary systems? Maybe you didn't hear what I said. Did you know that the stars that cannot be counted in the sky when you're looking up on a clear night are actually the sons of other planetary systems? In fact, I'll tell you, astronomers now say that many of those stars probably have planetary systems around them. That there are likely more planets than we could possibly fathom around these distant stars. Perhaps someone on a far off planet is looking at the sun in our solar system and recognizing it as a star. Well, think of it this way. These great African ancestors were not only focused on the movements, on the divine energy that bursts forth from the sun that is closest to us, but they were so erudite. They were so divinely balanced that they could look at the sun of another planetary system, recognize its movements, and see the divine fundamental principle as above, so below. So they looked at the movements and recognized that those movements could well dictate the overflowing of this river. That's why these people were able to live and prosper and produce food, produce happiness, produce abundance in an area that could only be described as desert. Because they were people who lived in divine balance. And so should you. So I ask you at the outset, family, where is the happy in your life? Where are those things in your life that seem to occur in catastrophe, that if you better understood them, you would recognize them to be divine balance? Where does the flood occur in your life? Are you seeing it as a calamity? Are you seeing it as destructive? Are you seeing it as something that puts you into the condition of the benighted? Or are you recognizing that if you better understood it, if you lived in harmony with it, you would be able to prosper? Where is the happy in your life? I want you to think about that. This is not a rhetorical question. This is your first bit of homework. What? Brother Jabari is giving us homework during Kemetic Ascension? Yes, I am, beloved. I want you to think about those things that occur in your life that seem to be destructive, that if you were able to better understand them, they would actually benefit you greatly. That's the happy. And you're seeing in this image a beautiful image of the sun rise. I think this is setting, actually, setting over the happy. And you're seeing a statue of the divine personification of the Happy River. And here you are seeing two images of the divine Ntert. I know that this is not a great translation, but I'll use it for a moment for those of you who are a bit newer. The divine goddess known as Kemetic. Can you see that she has a star on her head? So that star that later people began calling Sirius, sometimes it's called the dog star. You will note that this is a reference to that great lady. Yes, when you look at Sirius XM radio, they are also referencing this star. Why? Because they are imitating you, African. They're imitating you, African. That is why this is so important. Understand that there are the youngest people on the planet who attempt to imitate you, African. And so many of us have forgotten our traditions, forgotten our ways, that we don't recognize that the fulcrum upon which modern society balances is your tradition, African. That's what we need to remember. And look at this overhead, this aerial view of that land that today is misnomered Egypt, but we know as Kemet. Do you see all of that tan, that lightly colored area? That is the desert. And you'll see this green line that meanders through from south to north or north to south. Some of you will know what I'm saying. That's not, we won't dally on that issue here today. But you will recognize that as you look at this, you are seeing the Hapi give wonderful abundance to the land. And as it floods, you can recognize how important and how dramatic it was. Here is actually a site that you can go to today. Today, it is usually called the Colossi of Memnon. The Colossi of Memnon. That's what the Greeks called it, because they thought that these statues were of an ancient Ethiopian king who went forward to fight with some of the younger people as well. And they called him Memnon. Now, by the way, you should know that if the Greeks called this statues of Memnon, then they were also saying that the Kemetic people were Ethiopians. They are actually telling you that they are arguing that the Kemetic people are those who should be known as burnt face. So when people try to misrepresent the ethnicity, the racial makeup of the Kemetic people, tell them not to argue with you. Tell them to argue with their own ancestors who told us that they were Africans. So as you look at these statues, you should know that they are actually being reconstructed as we speak. That in fact, these two colossi that were actually built by Amenhotep III graced the front of a temple that is in ruin. And I know that as Anika and I have actually been going to Kemet over the course of the last 20 plus years, we've seen them pull the stones out of the dirt, and more of this is there. Look at the stark mountains in the background, by the way. Though over there is where we see the Valley of the Kings and Queens. So this is in this magnificent city that we know of as Waset. But as they bring these statues together, you should know that they are absolutely amazing. Take a look at Anika and I standing with this wonderful family as we traveled to Kemet several years ago. We really love this family, and we were just excited that we were able to be there with them. But can you see the statues off in the distance? If you look closely over Anika's left shoulder, you're actually going to see someone standing by the statues. They are gigantic. They're probably about 6 stories high. Gigantic.
Someone recognizes Anwar.
Oh, really?
Practitioner team.
Oh, someone knows Anwar. Oh, wonderful. Yes, that's Anwar. He's the father of that wonderful family. Someone knows Anwar. Uh-oh, this is a small world, y'all. This is a small world. Anwar and his family traveled with us. This has got to be now, it's got to be like 5 years ago. Maybe not more.
I think his daughter's graduated, right?
I don't know. Well, just know that this was some time ago. I wish that we were able to I could tell you exactly when it is. I just won't be able to do it right now. But it's just amazing that this occurred such a long time ago. And by the way, I know that this is before the pandemic. And I also am looking at this picture and recognizing that Anika and I have trimmed down significantly. Look at us.
I was always in shape though.
We trimmed down significantly. We don't even look like that. Do I even look like this right now? I'm telling you, both of us. Anyway, just know we were getting kind of round during the pandemic, and we decided that we would trim down. So take a look at these images. These are images of those same statues during the flooded Hapi, and you can see that entire area is filled with the water of the sacred river. That is how immense and amazing this reality of the flooding was. And you can see here a drawing from a Western artist that made some magnificent drawings in Kemet and during his journeys there. And so you know that this had been going on for a long time. Now, of course, it does not flood anymore because the modern people, the modern Arabic government actually dammed the river so they would be able to electrify all of Egypt. And I'm saying Egypt very intentionally. I'm not talking about that ancient land that your ancestors created. And on the base of both of those statues, you can see the reference to divine Hapi, tying the two lands of Kemet together. Can you see that Hapi, personified in north and south, is actually binding the nation together? This divine symbol is known as what? Let's see who in our chat knows what the name of this divine symbol is. Can you tell us? I want to know how much work you're doing. I want to know how much study you're doing. And I also want to know where you learned it from, because some of you might have learned it from us on one of our tours. Some of you are the initiated, and so you may be familiar with it as well. Some of you may go back to the Shrine of Ptah. The Shrine of Ptah used this emblem as the emblem of the Shrine of Ptah. What is it known as? Do we have some answers, and who answered it?
We do. So Sinet Olivia says the Aket. Sinet Anna says Smaitawi. Sen William says Smaitawi.
Sen William from Sen Tehuti Forever?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome.
Hiru Asad Ankh Amunra says Smaitawi.
Mm.
Sinet Dimitra.
Wonderful. This is the symbol known as Smaitawi. By the way, Sinet Olivia, you are probably noticing the sun actually setting between the two statues, and she called it the Aket. Now, is that the term we were looking for? No. But I want you to know that calling it wrong would be really Western. You know what I mean? I think that Sinet Olivia is noticing something that I think is magnificent as well, because looking particularly in this this drawing here, where you can see the sun setting in between the two statues, I think that any practitioner, in fact, any of the ancient practitioners would have seen that, and also seen that as the Aket as well. So magnificent. But this symbol on the bottom of the throne is known as Smaitawi, the unification of the two lands. Powerful. Powerful, powerful. Now, our Kemetic ancestors described in many ways this process going on in the cosmos at the first time, and they called it Zep Tepi. Zep Tepi, which means the first time. This is how they described the beginning of the universe, and you'll actually see in this image, you will actually see that this is meant to represent the first time. You're actually seeing the Khepera coming out into the world, being held by Atum. And this is extremely powerful, and I really do believe that it is beautiful. This is a description of the Zep Tepi. You can see the movements of the sun there as well. Let us read about the description of the beginning in the book of knowing the evolution of Ra and overthrowing Apep. Let's read how your ancestors describe this. They say, these are the words with the Nebercher. By the way, it means like almost like the greatest of the deities, Nebercher, spake after he had come into being. I am he who came into being in the form of the Khepera. I am the creator of that which came into being. That is to say, I am the creator of everything which came into being. Now the things which I created, which came forth out of my mouth, that's a typo, mouth, after I had come into being myself, were exceedingly many. The sky, or heaven, had not come into being. The earth did not exist, and the children of the earth and the creeping things had not been made at that time. I myself raised them up from out of Nu, that is the primordial waters, from a state of helpless inertness. That's powerful, by the way. That's powerful. We are hearing that this divine force who came in as the form of Khepera actually raised these things out of a state of helpless inertness. That means that they weren't created as such. They were differentiated. They already exist. And they exist in the Nu, or in the Noon, as we say sometimes. Let's continue. I found no place whereon I could stand. I worked a charm upon my own heart or will. I laid the foundation of things by Ma'at, and I made everything which had form. I was then one by myself, For I had not emitted from myself the Nter Shu. I had not spit out for myself the Nter Tefnut. And there existed no other who could work with me. Now, you might notice that sometimes when you hear us speak, we say that Ma'at is that divine Nter, that divine lady that has no beginning. Do you see how he's talking about the fact that he has to create all things and there's nothing there? But he says, listen to this. He says he actually laid a foundation of things by Ma'at. So Ma'at was not created, Ma'at was there. Ma'at is that divine lady that has no origin. In fact, you could argue Ma'at is before Kepra. Because he doesn't say he creates Ma'at. He says that he creates things out of or in the foundation of Ma'at. That is powerful. That is powerful. And I think that Anika is mouthing to me that Baba Heru, by the way she mouthed it, it took a minute for me to know what is she saying. That Baba Heru, our elder, is in the building. Metaphorically, of course. And I just want to say that we want to give him sacred love. We want to give him energy and light. Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata, our elder, the person who in his walk allowed us to take our walk, has entered. So I just want us all, wherever we are, to take a moment and just give him some ankhs and myrrh, give him some energy that he can continue in peace and power to create, to guide, and to simply be, because him being allows us to be. And so we have to give honor to our shrine elder who entered the room. He probably was trying to sneak in, but Anika saw him and then said something to him. It is magnificent that you're here, Baba. We love you. We myrrh you. Please follow me. Clasp your hands over your heart and then just send him some divine energy. Do you think that he can't receive divine energy because he's in lower Manhattan and you are in Texas and you are in the Gambia and you are in Wales and you are all in different parts of the world? Energy cannot be limited in that sense. Just think of him and send him some divine energy, some divine myrrh. And so I just want to say, welcome to Baba Heru. So let us continue. Anika's typing a lot. I'd love to know what she's saying.
So the shout outs to Baba Heru. When you type fast, you make errors.
Oh boy. Let's read more from this book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and of overthrowing a pet. By the way, how many of you have read from this book? How many of you have read from this book? Shouldn't you be? That's the description of the first time. Let's read. I laid the foundations of things in my own heart, and there came into being multitudes of created things, which came into being from the created things, which were born from the created things, which arose from what they brought forth. I had union with my closed hand. I embraced my shadow as my wife. I poured seed into my mouth, and I set forward myself, issue in the form of the Neteru, Shu, and Tefnut. Saith my father knew, my eye was covered up behind them. And that's a reference to Shu and Tefnut. But then after 2 hen periods had passed from the time when they departed from me, from being 1 Nter, I became 3 Nteru, and I became into being in the earth. Then Shu and Tefnut rejoiced from out of the inert watery mass wherein they and I were, and they brought me to me my eye. By the way, he's referring to the sun here. Now after these things I gathered together my members, I wept over them, and men and women sprang into being from the tears from which came forth from my eye. Did you know that you, divine beings, are the tears of the sun? The book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and overthrowing a pet say that you are the tears from the eye of the first one. And the tears from this eye should be known as the tears of the sun. Powerful. By the way, there was that old movie from that had Bruce Willis called The Tears of the Sun. I've always wondered why they named it that, but it did occur on the continent of Africa. Very interesting. So somebody who is a movie buff like me is going to look into that. Let's continue. Let's continue. And when my eye came to me, and I found that I had made another eye in place where it was. Now they're referring to the moon. I was wroth with or enraged at this process, whereupon I endowed it, the second eye, with some of the splendor from which I made the first eye, and made it to occupy in place of my face, and henceforth it ruled throughout all this earth. So the moon and the sun are the eyes of the divine. The moon and the sun are the eyes of the divine. And when the second eye came forth, the second eye was a bit upset that it was not as magnificent as the first eye. So the second eye was given some of the splendor of the first eye. I think that is a really interesting description.
There's a question
of what occurs. Yes.
Which you read. So where he says, pour semen into my own mouth. Are we truly sure about these translations?
Yes. Yes. By the way, let me say this to you. I'm going to speak to this specifically right now. Right now. Often when Jabari is ridiculed as a practitioner of the Kemetic tradition, people like to say that the divine here, in fact, they'll say he was jacking off into his own mouth. And I always have to say to them that their challenge is, at first, they sound like they're kids at the lunchroom table in high school. And these words were never meant for people who were not prepared and the initiated. Unfortunately, they have now been spent among those people who are like children. You must understand that this divine force that is creating the universe is not a human being. We are talking about how energy is created. That's what we're talking about. If it was a man, how could an eye be the sun and another eye be the moon? We're talking about how the world was created. And in many ways, when we say that this semen came forth from his own hand, and he actually spit it forward from his mouth, all we are actually saying is this. By the way, this is how the young people say it. This is how the young people say it. The word became flesh. That's it. That is it. It means that you can create. Seed is that creative stuff. That's it. This is not human semen. This is not animal semen. This is the energy of the universe that was spoken into being. That is what it means. By the way, for those who want to make fun, you should know at least we see that this divine entity is male, but there is feminine energy everywhere. We hear that the foundation was created in Ma'at, and we also hear that his shadow became his wife. So you must understand that the divine energy is there. And if they like to make fun of this, how do their dudes do it? You got a bird and two guys. How dare you make fun of something that you cannot understand? That is the challenge. And that's not what they were asking.
No, I'm just saying he was just asking you that.
Oh no, I'm not insulting the person that asked the question. I'm speaking to the people that will make fun of this. Okay? And you're going to hear people that will make fun of this. If you've watched Sonetter and you've seen the Hebrews or evangelical Christians try to argue with Jabari, they continually say this. And you must understand that we are not talking of a human being. We are simply talking about the creative energy that is creating the entire universe. That is what we're talking about. In fact, I remember one of the best known Hebrew Israelites said this to me. He was saying it and he thought he was laughing and he was eating an apple. I said, brother, you eating an apple? He said, yes. I said, you got seed in your mouth right now. He almost choked. He almost choked. And I said, you have to understand what seed is. You are a child, so that you're only able to see it from the eyes of a child. And I said, I pity you, brother. So please understand that that is what we're referring to. We are not talking about a human being or any corporeal form. Let's move. By the way, this is what this image is, by the way. Can you see the Aket all the way on the left? These are depictions on how the world is being created. And you'll actually see that being there that is bent over backwards. This is supposed to speak to the creation of the world out of seed. That is it. It is not a person. And I know that it may be hard to understand that because we have been ensconced in, we have been abused by these very literal descriptions for such a long time. But you need to understand that that is not what we're dealing with. In fact, I'm going to say to you that such literalism occurs. I was going to show you a video. I'm not going to do that now for the sake of time. But just recognize that such literalism occurs amongst these youngest people. I was going to show you a statue from the British Museum of Min. Min is actually the deity of fertility. And he is known to have an erect henenen, an erect phallus, coming from his belly button, his navel area. And it is a depiction of the ability of creation and fertility to exist on this plane. When they took this statue from Kemet towards the British Museum, they were so embarrassed by this large erect henenen or penis that they drilled it out. By the way, they say now that they lost it and they don't know where it is. Now, I don't even know if I believe that. First of all, can you imagine the museum destroying an artifact? The museum destroying an artifact because they don't want to embarrass, they don't want to be uncomfortable with these Puritan people not understanding what they're seeing. So they literally destroyed a magnificent artifact, and now they lost the piece that they destroyed. It was absolutely insane that that occurred. By the way, I don't know if they've lost it. Somebody has it in their private collection. They have a large basalt or black stone penis that they have in their collection because those people, the youngest people on the planet, need a lot of help. They don't make no darn sense. And they have actually rendered and taken our Kemetic tradition in such a fetishistic way. Anyway, think about how difficult this literalism is. Now, the seed is that which creates. But if you look at descriptions in the Christian Bible, think about how unusual this is. Take a look. This is one of their most important books that describes their law, known as Leviticus. So this is in Leviticus 15:17. It says, any clothing or leather on which there is an emission of semen must be washed with water, and it will remain unclean until evening. Now think about this. There's the concept that your body is dirty. That actually, if semen gets on anything, it is literally dirty, filthy, and will remain unclean until evening. By the way, what does that mean, until evening? Let's go forward into 15:18. If a man sleeps with a woman and has an emission of semen, both of them are to bathe with water, and they will remain unclean until evening. Here's this issue with not recognizing the divinity, the sacredness of the human form, that semen is considered dirty. And that's the reason why younger people make fun of it, the youngest people on the planet. Understand that these youngest people have so much confusion. Take a look at the images of the women on the right. Does anyone know what's happening here? What's happening with these women on the right, these four images? Any answers? If you look at the advertisement on the bottom, for this Lambert-Snyder health vibrator, you should understand that this extremely literal, extremely patriarchal society, by the way, this item was, you can see that the Lambert-Snyder company was on 10 West 22nd Street in New York. It's literally about 5 miles from where we are right now. This is in New York, right? They believed that sexuality, the sexuality of men and women, was so dangerous that first you hear that semen is filthy and that if it touches anything, it is dirty as well. But they also believed that women were crazy because they were not able to have orgasm. And so they developed a device. Look at him holding the device towards his head, by the way. Why the heck is he holding it towards his head? It looks like bagpipes or something. But anyway, know that they would literally take women on the stage and use vibrators on them so that they would actually reach orgasm. And supposedly it kept them from going crazy. What the hell is wrong with these people? Can you explain this to me? This is how disconnected they are from the sacredness of procreation. So that in your tradition, those things that create are sacred. And in fact, even your divine beings use a process that is similar to sexuality to create. There must be male energy and female energy to create. That's all they're saying in these stories, by the way. You should know that this divine force that was speaking is not a corporeal being. But the youngest people are so confused that they even think that sexuality is dirty, that sexuality causes madness. Look at the images of these women. They're supposed to be, these are women who are losing their minds, and the doctors would take them on the stage and literally strip them down and masturbate them into health. On a stage. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. We must bring back knowledge of the divine, family. Take a look at these images. In the middle, you are seeing the Tekken, the symbol of the resurrection of the being. And it is actually a reference to erect Henenen, the erect penis of Asar. And then you're seeing on the right an image of men. Do you see the penis that we're talking about that was removed in the British Museum? And you're also seeing images on the left of Nut and Geb, the heavens and the earth. And you are seeing on the bottom a statue that is meant to depict Asar with erect Henenen, which is a symbol of resurrection. In fact, if you didn't know it before, can you hear what I am saying as I speak of the word that you have heard? When we say resurrection, we are talking about erection. In fact, the very term encodes the ancient African understanding of how sacred sexuality allows us to continue to exist in the world. That in fact, it is a sexual process to become. That's what we are saying. How could that be dirty, beloved? How could that be dirty? In fact, as you speak things into existence, you are using divine seed, not literal semen, family. Please don't get confused. We're talking about divine seed creating the world in front of us. Don't you want to get to the point where you are so powerful that that which you speak comes into existence? That you can literally manifest, will manifest all things based on your word. That is being divine. That is what we are hearing. That the entire world was created from word. That is what that means. I know that I want to become powerful enough to create all things around me simply by speaking something into existence. How could you actually be beset by all those challenges that humans face if you were powerful enough to simply speak into being? that you wield the power of Kepara, that you can create all things in the foundation of Ma'at. Imagine what that would mean for you, beloved. That is what our ancestors told us we are driving towards as we continue on this journey to actualize our divine self. And we can get to the point where we can simply create by speaking, create by thinking, that the entire world is actually something that we can create. This is powerful. I hope that you are able to recognize the power here. Powerful. Your ancestors believed that the sacred sexual process is that which created the universe. And I hope that that is where you are as well. And for those of us, once again, who have been ensconced for too long in the Western tradition, I want to ask you, how do these dudes do it? How do they do it? A young man, an old man, and a bird. How do they do it? Your ancestors were describing how this process was driven by divine male and female energy. That is what we must evoke as we think about this new year. As we think about how we are going into a period of renewal. Some of you might think, as you are existing at this time, that you are dealing in a position of scarcity, that you are existing in a place where those things that you need, in fact, even those things that you want, are absolutely being kept from you, where you are not able to access them. Well, I am saying, beloved, take control of your divinity so that you can create all of the resources that are necessary for you to do the work that the ancestors and the Neteru expect for you to do. And coming into your fundamental divinity is what you must do. And I hope that you are thinking about those things that you will need, those things that are expected of you during the beginning of the year. So I'll ask you again, what does the flood mean to you? I'm hoping, beloved, that you are prepared to create powerfully. I am hoping, beloved, that you will take the knowledge of the last year and create as the wise divine in the next year. I hope that you recognize that there is nothing that you cannot do, that in fact, when you are beset by challenges, it is simply because entities, powers, sometimes want to make you forget just how powerful you are. Do not allow them to be victorious. Divine, everlasting, divinely powerful, beloved one. As we go into the new year, I hope that you are thinking about those things that are expected for you to do. And we will be here along with you, thinking about how powerful you are and how powerful we need you to be. Think about where the flood is in your life, those things that seem to be dangerous, those things that seem to be calamity, that you will rework for the betterment of yourself, the betterment of your family, and the betterment of our people. I can say the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. I hope that you are preparing for this new year, and I hope you will go into it with all peace and prosperity. Shemimatep. Anika, can we go to our final affirmation? Mm-hmm.
I also want to acknowledge a few others who have given us donations. So Twalu, to Michelle Miller, to Joseph Bouchard, to Dion Lives, to Virgil McKelvey. Twalu, we appreciate what you've given, and all those who have given us stars on Facebook, anyone who's given us PayPal donations. Twalu, we appreciate all of what you provide to us. It helps us continue to do what we do. Also, I wanted to make an announcement that some of you have been asking about classes that we are holding. We are specifically holding classes through our Center for the restoration of Ma'at. So if you're interested, there is a course called 3 Millennia of Excellence, which will talk about the 3,000 years of greatness in ancient Kemet. And you will learn all of the history throughout that time period, taught by Brother Jabari. So please make sure that you look into that course. I'll be teaching the Metanetter. So for those of you who are interested in learning the language, I'll be providing that instruction for the fall. And we also have a course on African American history. So a lot of us assume that we know African American history because we went to schools in the US. Half of what they teach you in school is not African American history if you know a lot of what we have been learning recently. So I would like to offer that as a course as well. So all of those courses, you can get more information if you go to www.centerformaat.com. And you can register there, and it will have the times and the dates of when those courses are being offered. All of them start this fall.
Yes, so please join us as we learn more about this journey that Africans have been on, both in our ancient homeland and in the United States.
So at this time, I'd like everyone to join us in doing the Amasu, one of the oldest prayers that you will find in the Reu and Pert Emheru in Gyer. So if you could stand in the pose of adoration and repeat after me. Amasu in Pater.
Amasu in Pater.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Ementra.
Ementra.
En Pater.
En Pater.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it today.
Just as you did it today.
Twa winter.
Twa winter.
Thank you to the divine, and thank you to all of you.
I hope you have an amazing, amazing Sunday. We will see you soon. Please remember, continue to embolden and enlighten your heart with Hesi, and continue to think about where the flood exists in your life so that you can do your great work. We'll see you soon. Shem Matet. Are we out?